Bonemachine! If you continue west on Route 66 out of Tucumcari, New Mexico, in 22 miles, you will hit the ghost town of Montoya. And as you drive down Interstate 40 or 66 in eastern New Mexico today, the high desert plains of Quay County can look entirely empty. But this red dirt landscape has been quietly watching humanity for over 11,000 years. All right, we're on another Route 66 ghost town, Montoya, New Mexico. There's Route 66. Long before it had a name, this arid stretch between the mesas was the domain of the Paleo Indians, who hunted prehistoric megafauna with stone tools crafted right down the road in Clovis. Millennia melted away, and the land became the hunting grounds of the Apaches, and later, the fierce Comanche Empire. They ruled these windswept prairies, successfully repelling almost any permanent outsider who dared try to settle this harsh terrain. Even when the Spanish crown claimed the wave of Mexico, the region remained a wild, open frontier. In 1824, a merchant and former Spanish soldier named Montoya took a gamble and secured a Mexican land grant right here. He traded with the native tribes and left behind a name that would outlast the empire itself. By the mid-1870s, the U.S. Army had subdued the native tribes, and the plains were thrown wide open. The Wild West rushed in, bringing a boom of massive cattle ranches. But a town needs a pulse, and that pulse finally arrived in 1901 with the heavy iron clang of the railroad. Originally called Roundtree, the settlement was born as a rugged camp for the Chicago, Rock Island, and Gulf Railway workers. Once again, a man camp, a construction camp, set up, and a boom town was built around it. And by 1902, this town was officially renamed Montoya. Imagine it back then, a chaotic, dusty loading point for the Southern Pacific Railroad. It was a place where pioneering legends were made. A young Jewish immigrant widow named Yetta Khan arrived here and launched the T4 Cattle Company, building a ranching dynasty that grew to nearly 250,000 acres. Montoya was a thriving, permanent frontier hub, but the iron rails eventually found a rival, the automobile. In 1918, workers began flattening the dirt road between Tucumcari and Santa Rosa, and in 1926, that road officially became US Highway 66. The mother road now went straight through Montoya, and it pivoted beautifully. Ranchers and railroad men were joined by an endless stream of dusty tourists. G.W. Richardson upgraded his local wooden shed into a beautiful red sandstone mercantile. At the Richardson store, you could grab a sack of flour, a windmill part for your ranch, or fill up your coupe at the Sinclair gas station. During World War II, the traffic was so thick here, locals recalled it taking 30 minutes just to cross the street. But that very thing that made Montoya also destroyed it. In 1956, the concrete for Interstate 40 was poured just a few hundred yards to the south. The new superhighway allowed cars to fly past at 70 miles an hour, completely bypassing the town. And overnight, the lifeblood of Montoya was cut off. The Richardson store closed its doors in the 70s, the banks, the schools, and the homes slowly emptied out.
You can call me the devil to help you fill that void, but the devil has answers to things I don't know. Call it being human, or just call it letting go. And I'm dancing around the big sky now.
If you continue further down this road, apparently you can see the old Richardson store that has fallen basically into a complete pile of rubble. But we stopped here, and we looked around, and this is the first place we had been where it felt like something truly evil had happened. The vibes were terrible. And we spent so long looking around in these garbage cans in the outhouse that we felt like we had seen enough.
the shit that
And we're getting pretty
I've done,
close to overstaying our welcome. While the rest of the places we had been so far felt like a monument to the American highway, this felt more like a tombstone. A place where the desert is slowly reclaiming its own history. And soon, any blood that had been dripped into the soil of this boomtown would be erased, and all the old legends would be forgotten.
The big sky now. Just trying to calm the fire down. Just trying to calm the fire